Well, let's see how this goes. Welcome everybody to the first round of the DRC GT3 Sprint Championship. It's still the last few seconds of free practice. We'll be looking into it shortly. I just gotta take 1 or 2 seconds of my time here. Oh no. Oh, there we go. So, we're at the end of free practice. Here you guys see a beautiful, beautiful Zolder circuit. We have 17 drivers today. If I have to take a wild guess, the top 5 are pro drivers, and the colors in red is the AM series. Or standings, rather. Session has ended, and with that,
green line. Give it all you got.
I'll get a team radio that I don't want, but apparently I'm forced to get it. Maybe real quick switch into proper broadcasting mode, and then we'll go over here to the Ferrari to get a lap around the Zolder circuit. We saw the track map earlier, so we will be looking around. We already have the yellow flag shown on the top. So maybe someone parked it somewhere where it shouldn't, where the car shouldn't stand. There you see the yellow flags waved. It goes instantly into green, so maybe it's also just slow cars. There will be smaller driver switching issues in the stream, considering I don't have a second monitor. And ACC doesn't allow me to properly do anything without a second monitor, but we will manage. We will manage. It'll be a beautiful time. It's fun. We'll need to get me a second monitor. It works in F1. It works fine in F1, but not so much. It also works in AC, just ACC is a bit stricter. Here we are going through the last chicane, and then we'll go into the first time quali lap of the season of this new DRC series. And it'll be driven by a Ferrari. That's probably the first time Ferrari will be first in something, but that's besides the point. It'll be also very interesting to see if the AM drivers are able to maybe upset some of the pro drivers. But that's something we will find out in 13 minutes, and then during the over the duration of a 45-minute race. I'll also be very surprised if the car on 4th place with the 602 isn't named Ronald McDonald. It'll be somewhat of a disappointment. We'll be using this onboard cam because I like it. I like the helmet. We'll also see the Ferrari at work. Down into first gear in the hairpin, and then going his way over to the last chicane. Playing with the curbs a bit. That is the wrong key. I will have to go here. And then moving up to first. We were 129.7. That's what I mean. That's gonna be a bit. And he's on the half a second back. We'll go the next Ferrari car. I will butcher some names. I hope you guys are okay with me doing that. Meki will succeed. Wait. There's already a small gap between the Pro and the AM. There's not too much between third and fourth. It's 4/10 of a second. We also have what I think is surprising for a GT race, because I've never experienced it. A big variety of constructors. Car constructors. On the grid we have Ferrari being the main force. We have McLaren, BMW, Porsche, Aston Martin, we have one. We also have a Lexus in the field. We also have a Nissan. I nearly forgot the Nissan. I apologize. Here we are with Ben Neal, who is in a dark colored McLaren. Using a bit of the grass. That is not a camera I want. Thank you very much, game. Going through the last chicane. Not hitting the apex in the second part all that much. But we'll see where the timer stops. It'll be 12th place. With a 1:32.5. We still have a few cars without a lap. For example, the BMW of Scrub Racing. In the 45, going through the last chicane now. Now going over the line. And moving up to 5th. That only leaves the Lexus. With a name I can definitely not pronounce. Or we'll have quite the... That'll be fun. This will certainly be a lot of fun today for you guys, at least. Backed out of the lap. The 4-2-0. Now the field is forming itself into Pro and AMs. With the Pros being led by a Porsche. And the AMs being led by 2 Ferraris and then 2 McLarens. 8.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. This, of course, not being that big of a time. Looking like an outlap with a 6:41.6. This looks like my camera isn't liking me all that much at this fine day. Or it's actually my connection to the server that isn't all that happy today. It looks like it's my connection to the server that isn't all that happy today. It worked in the test earlier today, but that sometimes is the great case of technology. We'll be looking what the Lexus can do, though, if thing doesn't reset up to track every time. I also keep clicking. Okay. This is getting somewhat fabulous here. Oh, for who's who? Oh, that is fantastic. I got a spreadsheet. I have received the spreadsheet, guys. We're saved. We'll see where the Lexus now goes, though. He moves up to first place by 12,000ths of a second. And now the grid is properly divided, even though the time difference isn't all that high. There we go. That should work a lot better. I think I worked a bit. I worked my own magic on the stream a bit. Igor! In the Porsche. Currently 12 thousandths of a second behind. A few guys changing tires, going into the pits. Of course, GT tires are a lot more durable than F1 tires. That is for the F1 fanatics, if someone of them is watching. GT tires are a lot more durable during their construction, but still, it is better to have a fresh set. My talking might also need some new construction. And while I wasn't looking, there's now a gap of 8/10. Pulled off by Jagu in the Lexus. I really need a second monitor. I can't even open the list properly. We'll be going over last few runs. That is not an ideal line by the MRT Ferrari in the with the 25 on it. Looks like they got away with it. It does look like they might have gone away with it. There we go. It goes through the chicane of the gods onto the start-finish straight. That's a 4-minute lap time. I would highly appreciate getting shown the timing here, guys. Okay. There we have the timing sheet all together. We also have the handicaps, where we see the Lexus with minus 40 kilograms, as well as the Porsche with minus 12, while we have cars like the McLaren, who has 17 kilogram added as ballast. I'm working my way a bit with all of those features of the game. Well, I'm also trying to work myself a bit with OBS, which is not really the kindest app to me today, or at least right now, which I can't really understand. There is a yellow flag right now, out on circuit. We will be staying with the Ferrari. Well, I shortly have to try and pull off some magic in the settings, probably. I hope at least the sound and all is okay. Put a lot of... I'll put a lot on high. There we go. Oh, it just seems to be for a few odd minutes or seconds that they're the smaller spikes of something not wanting to work properly, but I hope everyone can see everything fine, and we will have a great 45-minute race, which will start shortly, but first we'll have to go through the rest of qualifying. There we go. The Bober BMW. Who is, if I recall it right, driven by Edgen, who is doing a little bit of a jump through the final corner. It is indeed driven by Edgen. If you guys like, put in predictions. Who will win each class? Who will win the pros? Who will win the AMs? And how will the race overall go? Of course, 45 minutes is a long race. Zolder also not being an especially long circuit, so we'll have quite a few laps here. I think it's estimated around 31 laps. More yellow flags being out. What can Edgen do? Moving right up to the side of the track. One lap for him. One last lap for him to go. What can our friend Ronald McDonald do? I called it. I did call it. That is also not a name who is in the spreadsheet that Jagger sent me. Which is already absolutely fantastic. There we have. I'm just getting sent into this, apparently. The qualifying results as they are of now. You, of course, see the checkered flag. Who is not allowed on track on the lap anymore. There's also a bit of advertisement on circuit. Someone completely misjudged their line there. Of course happens. It's a new series. It's the first round of the series, so of course there'll be a bit of misdemeanor from the technological side. God, I'm not with words today. As well as maybe some advertisement boards on the circuit. That, on the other hand, will hopefully be salvaged by round 2. Which will commence next week. Here we have the grid. I do still have the race engineer, which I do apologize for. But we do have the Lexus of Jagu up ahead. I will still butcher the names. I do not have the names all open. I should have maybe gotten the spreadsheet a bit earlier to get used to the names. Which is quite noticeable is that the Ferraris may be the force in the pros. Why is there a car in the pits? Did he not select to drive? Did he? Did Jagger forgot to select driving? He's still in the pits. He's still in the pits. What's going on? Is he gonna get a move on? That is the big question. Is he gonna get a move on before the field goes into double file? The Tech 1 racing car of Jagger, the pole setter, who had a huge margin. Here we have Igor driving the lap. Is there an issue with Jagu? That is the question. What is going on here? There's no information so far. He's still in the pits. He's still in the pits. Meanwhile, we move with the field. Just heading towards the next chicane. Not the final chicane. We still have a bit to go. Until then. Onto the helicopters. There's still Jagu in the pits. You see on the left, there's a mandatory pit stop. As far as I know it, it's not mandatory to change tires, yet it is mandatory to refuel. They go, the field goes through the happen. And it's gonna form the double file now. Bunches up, nice, and... Oh! That's not nice. Did they sort it out? Looks like they sorted it out. Onto the start-finish straight. 16 drivers. Onto the line. It's a working double file. And soon it'll go to green. It'll go to green now. 2 drive-thrus. Igor has a drive-thru. And Pion, the Ferrari, also has one. That is already not good. That's already gonna cause issues inside the field. We go a bit through. We'll go a bit through. Matt Pokorny in the pink Ferrari was it who nearly hit the guy ahead of him. Scrub being currently the last guy in the pro class. Meanwhile, there will be a bit of sorting. The chunky BMW car trying it, but to no avail. There is simply no room. Dylan Green looking what the 2 cars ahead of him are doing. There's also an AM car, an MRT, who's just decided, yo, I don't want to drive with the other AM cars. I just wanna annoy the big guys a bit. Already, of course, a big delta. But here we go to Igor, who started leading after lap 1. Oh! That was already close. For Kevin Pion, who is moving to solve the issue of his drive-through penalty. I'm gonna look at names real quick. Penguin. One of the 2 guys with a drive-through. Bill obviously moved down. Jagu also finally decided to start the race. Good for him, the Tech 1 Racing Lexus. Moving himself through the field. The field will update as it goes through. Moving Pion also down the chain. Jaguar seems to have not lost that huge amount of time. Igor with the fastest lap currently going a bit through the grass. The question now is, when will he serve his penalty? When will he decide to serve his time? Meanwhile, we have a big battle here. Dylan Green being one of the participants. That is the wrong button. I need 2, not F2. The Ferrari behind the 2 other Ferraris. The usually so scarlet red car being the dominant force inside the AM category this week. As mentioned, 1 mandatory pit stop. The rest is up to the drivers. In the front, it seems very settled, so we can happily go through the midfield and see what's going on here. We have the Aston Martin of Mike, I believe, going on to try and go by the McLaren, as it looks like, of Ronald McDonald. In the background, Jaguar also making progress, moving himself up into 15th and probably now going up his way into 14th position. Oh! That's the collision. Ronald McDonald lost the car and is gonna sort himself in at the back of the field, nearly causing a bit of a nudge with Jagu, but there have definitely been bigger incidents in GT. Now is the time of the drive-thru. Igor will obviously commence at the back of the grid. If he can overtake Kevin Pion is the other question. But that's definitely not how you want to start into a new series. Going back onto the grid in 16th position, from the looks of it. Kevin Pion now only being in the last chicane. That's definitely a bit much. The fight for the podium is currently an AM driver and a pro driver. Racing Mouse being the car in the Ferrari, and AIM the car behind in the McLaren. The McLaren TP driving the McLaren, that seems about right. Well, we go back to our friend Dylan Green, who is still in his fight with Filip Matejevich, where I hope I didn't butcher the name all too hard. The back, Ben Neal, GP2 Tokyo Unio Clinic. When I read GP2, I instantly think of Striker Boy. Meanwhile, Jagu still working his way through, having the fastest lap now, to get back to the front of the grid. Working his way up to 10th now. And probably being also back up to 9th sooner than we think. Because why not do it now? Round the outside, moving it to the inside for the first part of the chicane. But it remains the outside. He still does it. In the three-parter chicane. Moving himself now up to 8th. As one Ferrari seemed to have a bit of an issue. Back to our good friend, Ben Neal, who is followed by Fawaz, who's also in a McLaren. Inside the car with the number 88. Meanwhile, Jagger moves by Green. Green knows not to fight it. Lets him by. He's driving his race with the other AM cars, Neal and Fawaz. He doesn't need to lose time driving a pro car who will move through regardless of what's happening. Going back to the fight for the podium for now. Scrub also starting to knock on the door of AIM, with Racing Mouse currently still in 3rd position. The big BMW really makes a difference here, I think. All the cars are rather flat built, and then you just have the huge box that is the BMW. But we can admire cars at another time. That's what practice sessions are for, and also quali sessions if you feel the need to have that happening. Going on board with AIM for the time being. There obviously being a second BMW on the grid, which is driven by Ejin. Who is charging to catch a raid. Who's currently still leading the race in the Ferrari. It'll be quite interesting to see what kind of strategies the drivers have. With the race obviously being that long and the pit window going for the whole race, it depends how much fuel the cars have, how much fuel they have to put in, and of course, the time where they all pit and where they come out. The field obviously now starting to get a bit more separated while we have the fight for the podium still. Different lines we see by Scrub. A driver who's not been mentioned that much this race, considering he kind of screwed himself over at the beginning of it, is Igor, who moved his way all the way back up to 12 already. We'll see what he can do. There's still a lot of the race remaining. We're not even a fourth into it. There we are, at our good old fighting group. Green, Neil, Fawaz, the three musketeers. Which is also a Ferrari hunted down by two McLarens, who, thanks to their color scheme, must also look rather scary in the wings. In the wings? In the mirrors of the Ferrari driver. Here we have how the field currently looks after 7 laps. We also see the handicap again, where you can see that the car in front actually has ballast added onto him. So see the car everyone is driving. On board with Benio going over the start-finish line. We see again many different lines. This time green a bit out of shape, but going into turn 2 there simply is not that much room yet. To turn 4, green defense. Neil having a bit of a better exit. Can he do something here? No. He's trying to send the Ferrari out of shape, which is not working too well for him currently. Meanwhile, has Jagu already descended past Matt Picarni in the pink Ferrari, moving himself up to 5th And with that, back into the normal pro competition. The pros are all pretty much further to closer together. Aim back into third place, hunted down by Scrub. But then the hunt of Jagu begins here. Half an hour still to go in this race. This race, of course, being a small appetizer also for the tier 1 race coming after. So once the race is over, stay tuned for what comes after. It is the big race Sunday of the Digital Racing Championship. With first, obviously, ACC, being ACC, the GT3 Championship, Sprint Championship. Going back to our little group here. Going back on board with the McLaren of Ben Neal. My voice seems to not be that used to commentary anymore, but but we'll go through. We still have half an hour of racing action to go after 10 laps. Valentine also now being close to the leader, which is Ray. Oh, is there gonna be the switchback? There's a small nudge, definitely, between Ben Neal and Green. And in the end, nothing happens yet again. We have our first car in the pits. Chris Linder being the first guy to stop. Let me look through my spreadsheet. It is the exact same name. Good to know that Matt Picorni is Pockets. Pockets being currently the leader inside the AM class. We'll be looking through this pit stop real quick. Definitely going through, being lapped here now, the 577. Meanwhile here, Pockets in the pink Ferrari might not be leading the AM class any longer. With Racing Mouse behind. Oh yeah, Racing Mouse was fighting for the podium earlier. I completely missed that happening. Goes past Pockets now. Oh! That shouldn't happen. Especially not between two Ferraris. That is... Is he gonna let him by again? He's letting him by again. Okay. That is fair racing. What you'd expect from DRC. Oh, and there's Pockets off the road. And Racing Mouse saying, I was nice to you. Now you're being nice to me. I appreciate it. I'll take 6th place. Thank you very much. A big battle in front after the lead changed over to edging. Why is there talk about freedom in the stream chat? Anyway, we'll be going back to our battle, where Ben Neal lost himself to Fawas, who moved up to 10th and seems to be trying to move up into 9th place. With now also Neal moving himself back up into 10th. And Dylan Green being moved down all the way down from 9th to 11th place. Giving everybody a little bit of screen time here in this race. This, of course, remaining the biggest group from what it looks like. The Fawas seems to be driving away a bit, with Dylan Green being a bit of the catalyst for the pace of the two McLaren up ahead. You also see on the left-hand side in the scoreboard, 60 cars are left. It used to be 70, as far as I remember. But you also see that Leander has green next to his driver number. His mandatory stop is settled. Next one in the pit is a BMW. It's the BMW of Scrub, the 45. See how long he's standing and where he's getting out of the pits again. Good race from Scrub. He had a good race yesterday. He's planning on keeping the momentum going into the new series. Maybe also trying the undercut on aim to maybe beat the McLaren out for the podium. Getting moved down from the Jags. And now going back out onto the circuit. The pit exit being pit special in Zolder. Moving on the outside of the circuit in turn 1 and then moving with the drivers down into turn 2. I also take back what I said earlier about Juno being the catalyst, because Juno may be a second back on those two here, but there can always happen something. I also apologize for my small voice strokes. I thought I was old enough for those not to happen again. Racing Mouse also being in the pits now, so it seems like it's going for the pit lane time now, about halfway into this race. Tiefenbach in the Nissan also in the pit lane. Solid and consistent drive so far from every driver. We had no big incident except, of course, Jagu deciding, I don't want to drive the formation lap. I'm gonna just stay in the pits and wait for you guys. Also being passed, aim now. I wanted to look at it. The game decided you're too slow. You don't get an overtake.
We're at the halfway mark. Still a long way to go.
And the moment I'm getting this set, Edgen is going into the pits, and there seems to be a 30-second drive-through penalty for Racing Mouse. A stop-go, 30 seconds. Did he cross the line? Did he cross the pit exit line? Now that is the big question. Are those three going into the pit? They are! Oh! Ben Neal trying in the pit entry. We're gonna stick to those three, because they are definitely the closest in the pit entry. Oh, Striker has to reverse. Striker has to reverse. Put Courtney being ahead of him. Pockets in the pink Ferrari. Let's see how those three settle. Pockets will probably drive away soon. Probably was there 3 or 4 seconds ahead. He's being moved off the checks now. And there the Ferrari goes. And Jaguleets with the pit stop off Raid. There goes Striker. Fawas is behind him. And Juno as well. Juno is still standing. It's just getting moved off now. Here we have the 30-second stop-go penalty. But we're going, of course, back onto on-track action. We see here Ronald McDonald inside the pink McLaren. Going into the pits. Leaving Edge in to hunt down the guys ahead. Question is, did he get Raid? Where's Raid? My thing doesn't really show me Raid. Here he is. So Edgen seems to have gone by. Yes, he indeed has. But in the way, Racing Mouse. Now lap due to the 30-second stop and go. He kind of screwed his own race. With just that happening. Matjevic leaving the pits and hitting the wall. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What happened here? He's also not getting the mark removed, which is really awkward. Matjevic also definitely having some issues with his car right now. Igor moving back out with his drive-through. Fawas back into the pits. Elevating Dylan Green up ahead. Igor definitely still has to pit, with Edgen being the leader. Right now, after pits. Igor coming into the pits now. Here's Fawas. And here's the whole classification. As it's looking right now. Game sadly not giving me too many options, but during the season we'll definitely find better ways to go through everything, so hopefully the stream is still enjoyable and the race is also still enjoyable for you guys. Aim. Team name is Alisanto, which is kind of funny. Going through turn 1. 5th position currently. The overcut in this game obviously being way more powerful, obviously, due to driving with low fuel. There it goes, moving back up to 4th place. With now the intervals having completely left me. But here we see Jagu, the guy who's just casually trying to drive a last to first in the 420 car in the Pro class. If we want to go through the whole field, sorry for my voice cracks sometimes. Jagu leads. Well, not anymore. Edgens leads in front of Raid, Aim, Scrub, Igor, that is being the Pro category. Leading the AM category currently is Pockets. Then we have Ben Neal, Dylan Green, Philip Matjevich, then Linder, McDonald, Racing Mouse, Mike, Tiefenbach, and then Favwas all the way in the back. Though Favwas and Matjevich still have the symbol for not having solved their mandatory pit stops, Jagu also does not probably come out in second. Does he? It does somewhat look like it is just bound to this, but there is a Ferrari right behind him. This does look like it's Raid, and he did jump him. Ferrari now having the job of hunting down the Lexus to get back into second place. Edgin is 5.5 seconds clear up ahead in the BMW. The AM's being led by a Ferrari and then a McLaren, obviously. Fawaz back to the pits to maybe finally get his mandatory stop sorted. We're gonna stay on board a bit with the Ferrari hunting. Hunting down the Lexus up ahead. There's a cone on the circuit again. Hopefully someone removes it and doesn't get damage from it. I sadly don't know the damage model inside ACC. But well, there's also advertisement board on the circuit again, so someone had enough there. They're closing up to McDonald in the purple McLaren ahead. And then from the chunky car, it looks like it's leaner up ahead then of the two fighters. Oh, McDonald definitely doing his part there. No chance for Jagu. Probably some flashlights being shown right there to show his appreciation of the blockage of the purple McLaren in the 602 car. Fawaz also finally managed to get his pit stops sorted. So the last one to have to do that, if I can find him, is Filip Matjevich. Probably for cutting the pit exit line. And hitting the pit wall when he left earlier. The battle Neil and Green is a bit separated now. Not that much in it anymore. After the pits, we have 11 minutes in this race remaining, so still a lot what can happen. 21 laps are currently driven. With 11 minutes to go, there'll probably be 6 or 7 more. Macievich in the pits again, probably to get his issue with the pit stop sorted as well. We'll lose some positions, was currently 4th in the AM class. We'll drop down the grid a bit. What we also can see is Racing Mouse getting closer. Apparently closer to leader, except it's him behind him already. Doesn't look like it. He's not here either. Question is if he did a mistake, maybe. Probably did, because he's the BMW all the way in the back. Going to charge McDonald again to get back 11th place and to qualify himself or classify himself a bit higher in the AM class. That's currently the closest battle we have on track. That is once again the wrong button I'm pressing, but I'm getting more used to it. He is 5 seconds off pace in this last lap, so he might have to get past the McLaren this lap for anything to probably be happening for himself in this race again. 577 car, kissing a bit of gravel, and there's a new drive-through penalty, and it's Macievich. Meanwhile, Linder going through the chicane, completely forgetting its existence, and getting a drive-through for it as well for corner cutting. He's getting a corner cutting penalty. Who might that help? This guy, who had a completely calm race, but is now in hot pursuit from the Nissan of Tiefenbach. They will probably be the ones battling it out for 12th place now. The question currently is if we have time to interview the winners of both class, meaning Edgin and Pockets currently, to have a small word with them. But for now, and maybe for the last 7 minutes of this race, and I must admit, pretty interesting season opener on this battle. Tiefenbach against Mike. There's 1 second that currently separates the two of them. You're seeing the rear wing of the Aston Martin car. Both cars, as well as the Porsche being one-off cars, so only picked by one driver. Must admit the Lexus as well. But we might get a battle for the lead. Jagu is on fresher tires than Edgen in his Bulber BMW. But there's definitely something in it. 1.9 makes 1.4. Edgen jumping over the chicane. Only letting his rival catch up. This is not 1.4 seconds anymore. Jagu might actually compete for the win here and complete his last to first. From not even contending in the formation lap and some part of the first lap, he goes on to be in the battle for the win. We will probably enter now the last 3 laps of the race. So 29 laps. Might this race be long? The time's now hitting still rather consistent 28 sevenths. And Jagu is there. Jagu is there. Can this be the move for the lead and for the race win? Edgen's fighting it. But he can't. He can't in the chicane. He's losing the lead now. And Jagu is up to first with the fastest lap. Meanwhile, what can Ray do? In 3rd place, he's a second about slower than the 2 guys ahead of him, 4 seconds behind. It might not be too much he can do, but he's still in a solid 3rd position. Followed by AIM, who's bringing home 4th for McLaren. And the second BMW of the grid currently in 5th. Matjevic, who had some issues during the race, down in 15th. Igor in 6th. Here we have the leading car of the AM classification. Matt Pokorny, aka Pockets, driving inside that Ferrari. Bringing it to probably his last 2 laps now. Over the line. 1:31.1. Here we have Mike, who separated his Aston Martin a bit from his strongest contestant Tiefenbach, whose Nissan is working himself in 14th. Those two also having rather solid races. Ben Neal, GP2 in 2nd of the 2nd class, being in 8th. And still, those two weren't separated for really any moment of the race, with Dylan Green having his 95 Ferrari in 9th position. Meanwhile, having Racing Mouse in the MRT Ferrari with the 25 in 10th. He was fighting for 3rd at some moments, dropping down to 10th and 4th place in the AM class. With now the last minute of the race being upon us. We'll go all the way up to the Jagu, who will be starting his final lap now. It'll be 30 laps. This race.
Final lap now.
There we go. That's the team radio that confirms Jagu is on the last lap. Tiefenbach there. Very, very fair. Leaving the room. We'll watch the last lap with our probably race winner. There we have. The time is on 0. The right flag is out. And with that, the last lap of the season opener of the DRC GT3 Sprint Championship is on the way and led in the pro class by Jagu and in the AM class by Pokorny Pockets in the Ferrari. I do not want... It's only giving me... Really now? Well. We'll only be treated to this monitor then. That's great. But we'll see where he is. Where our race leader is. He's moving his way to the last chicane now. Braking. Going through. And now it's official. The first winner of the DRC ACC Sprint Championship is Jagu. That's interesting.
Green light, go, go, go.
Now that's an interesting end to it. Not even every car crossed the line, apparently. That is quite a confusing end. That is really... That is something I didn't expect. But regardless, there is about 15 minutes until the Tier 1 race starts for the DRC Formula 1 Championship. So, I am guessing I'm gonna zip it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the season opener. You see, everyone's leaving. We're staying on the car of the winner for now, because we have no other car to really be onto. We have the second winner, which is Pokorny, or Pockets. I hope you guys enjoyed the first race of the season, and I hope you guys will be here next week for the racing. Let me just real quick look, because I actually don't have the calendar fully in my head. For the race in Budapest, Hungary. 17th of March. We have 6 races. The first one in Zolder. It's done. It was won by this man. And with that, I thank you guys again for being here today. For watching this race alongside me. And catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your evening. And tune back in in about 15 minutes for the Tier 1 Formula 1 race. Yeah, that's about it. See each other at a later time and keep racing.